This video is brought to you by
Welcome to Cool Green Clothing. We done gone worldwide and we coming straight out of Baltimore. And if you ain't on the team yet, come on get with us. Come on and make a purchase. Go online right now. CoolGreenClothing.com and make your purchase. Oh yeah, by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way. That's just basic.
What is going on, YouTube fam? This your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. It's a lot of information, so try to keep up with me. For all the day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Let's get right into the story. In the streets, plans are meant to be broken. For example, if you are a robber, you could say I'm gonna go on missions from Monday to Friday and then chill. But the streets make their own rules. You might up that blick, get it took from you by somebody, and become a victim yourself. Or you could go on that move and the person you up on and tell to kick it out, take off. Now you have to decide what to do. Or you could simply get pulled over with your own gun and catch a charge by Thursday and not make it to Friday. Basically, it's a dangerous lifestyle that you always hope for the best for, but expect the worst. And one thing we should all know by now, the streets are unforgiving. It's a dirty game. And when groups of people on the same type time run across each other, it could play out either way, depending on circumstances. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we will take it back to 2014 to discuss a case of two groups of young men and a fatal encounter. Back in 2014, two friends were trying to navigate life in Baltimore. They were at the time 20-year-old Jonathan Watkins and his right-hand man we will call Ant. Ant had got put out his mother's house. And being that him and Jonathan were tight since the 6th grade, he was able to stay with him at his mother's house. But trying to make some money, it quickly became the two staying out late, making moves on a late night. And on September 18th, the two men pulled the all-nighter. Even slept in the stairwell of an apartment building in the area they were hanging at, which was Baltimore County's Lock Iron. The apartment building was located on Sedgemore and Marson Street. That following morning, they headed to a Dunkin' Donuts to use the store's Wi-Fi and just was outside cooling. As night fell, they decided they wanted to pull some robberies, equipped with a duffel bag with a rifle in it. The plan was to post up at the apartments, hide the gun under the steps, and rob whoever came by, looking like they had something worth taking, but no women. Some people had walked by, but they were older, so Jonathan and Ant decided to spare them. But about 1:15 a.m., now on September 20th, three young men with hoodies walked by. One of the men was in front by a few feet. The other two followed behind. The man in front had on a blue and gray hoodie with a hat on. Jonathan asked him, like, yo, you got a fug? Or for out-of-towners, a cigarette? The young man said, nah, yo, but I got some grass. And Jonathan said they were good on that. One of the men in the group of three was at the time 19-year-old Charlie Jones, who was a college student in Virginia, but was coming back home to Baltimore to go to a local college and get his GPA up. While Charlie and the other two walked down Sedgemore, a maroon truck pulled up in front of Jonathan and Ant, creeping slow, asking if they was trying to cop something again. The two declined. The truck then continued to the street and pulled over on the side of Marson on the three young men. The one with the blue and gray hoodie on talked to a man in the back seat of the truck before bopping back down to ask Ann and Jonathan again, was they sure they didn't need anything. Jonathan pointed out to the man in the back seat, like, yo, you know me, in which the man we will call you stated from where. Jonathan hollered out a few names, stating through them two. The truck reversed, and you hopped out the back seat to continue the conversation with Jonathan, saying, oh, all right, that's cool, but y'all be careful. I heard they robbing out here. And you bopped back to the truck, but not before calling Shorty in the blue hoodie back to talk to him. Saying a few more words, the truck then pulled off, and the three men kept bopping. Jonathan and Ant stayed by the building. About 45 minutes later, about 2 a.m., a blue Nissan crept by. Ant and Jonathan peeped it, but paid it no mind. Minutes later, Shorty from earlier with the blue and gray hoodie walked behind Jonathan, and a shot went off, striking him in the head. Ant ducked and went for the rifle under the step, but the shooter ran to a nearby house where the blue Nissan was parked at and hopped in. Jonathan was down. Ant, in panic mode, attempted to wake him up before realizing he wasn't moving. Ant then ran to the Shell gas station, telling them he needed to use the phone to call police, but it was late and the store was only open through the glass window. They gave Ant some change to find a payphone, but he instead walked to Jonathan's mother's house, who at the time they both were staying with, and told her what happened. Back at the crime scene, police had been called and found the young man laying in the street by Sedgemore, suffering from a gunshot wound to the head, unfortunately already gone. Later that day, detective spoke to a neighbor who said he was headed to the store on a late night when he saw a blue Nissan parked at a neighbor's house who he knew well. He was surprised because he didn't recognize the car. Also, his neighbor worked overnight, so he shouldn't have been home. Shortly after, he heard a loud pop and saw a man with a blue and gray hoodie run off and get into the car. Detectives got surveillance video from the gas station that showed a blue Nissan pull up at the store earlier before the shooting. 3 young men, including Charlie, started walking in the neighborhood. The car was identified as the getaway vehicle. Police in the area eventually ran the plates of the car. It was registered to a young man's mother, who we will call Rob. Police started following Rob around the area in unmarked cars days after the shooting, placing tracking devices on the vehicle before eventually enough probable cause gave them permission to search his home, finding a gray and blue hoodie and a hat, the same outfit wore by the shooter. Rob was taken to homicide for questioning. He told police he picked up his homie from work the night of September 19th at 11 p.m. Charlie was already with him. The men were just smoking, chilling, then headed to the store for some snacks. They parked the car and hopped out on feet to hopefully see some girls. Not long after, they ran across Ann and Jonathan. Rob stated he didn't know the men. When questioned about the man in the blue and gray hoodie, he stated it was Charlie. Police quickly presented Rob with the footage of his vehicle driving off after the shooting and told him if he stated what happened, he would not be charged with driving a getaway car from a murder. He stated you was in the back seat of the maroon truck they saw that night and called Charlie to the whip to discuss the area and who were the 2 men posted up. Rob stated he later saw you walking and him and Charlie picked him up. He overheard you state, "Don't waste my bullets," and gave Charlie a blick because he wanted to walk to a home in the area, telling him, "Take this because you know them dudes still out there and they robbing." But the conversation quickly turned to you telling Charlie, "If you don't shoot, I will." Then Rob stated, confused, he dropped Charlie off down the street on Sedgemore and then dropped you off at his home. While parked, he stated Charlie ran to the car, stating drive off. Confused, Rob said he did what he was told. Before all this happened, earlier that night, they first dropped off his man, who he picked up from work, at his house in Essex. But after realizing they were caught, Rob broke, allegedly stating Charlie shot that boy. Eventually, Charlie was tracked down and questioned. He stated he was back in town from college and was trapping for you to make a few extra dollars, stating he didn't know Ant or Jonathan, but stated you wasn't feeling the fact they were in the area. But Charlie stated he asked Rob to drop him off. After he got out, he heard a loud pop and saw Rob and you pull off, stating you was the shooter. Police asked what was he wearing. He told them a blue and gray hoodie, a hat, and True Religion jeans. Police told Charlie they already know he was wearing that, and it was surveillance and witness statements showing him running, in which he stated he was scared as he heard the shots. Then he saw Ant with a rifle, so he ran. Detectives placed Charlie under arrest and charged him with the murder of Jonathan. While in custody, detectives also were hot on another young man's trail in the area. Unaware he was being watched, he was pulled over with a blick, a .32 semi-automatic. When ballistics was done on the gun, it was found to be the same gun used to hit Jonathan. With statements, the blick, and everything, the charges would stick to Charlie. While awaiting trial, he made a mistake on a recorded jail phone, allegedly stating he was mad Rob told police, and now he had to play the good boy role and fake cry in court, saying I'd be bluffing. That would come back to hunt him though. When the trial date came, February 1st, 2016, the state had multiple witnesses, including Ant, Rob, neighbors, surveillance footage, and a weapon. When Charlie took the stand in his own defense, prosecutors asked him how he grew up, in which he stated he was adopted into a good family, played sports, went on vacations and church, even went to college. But that was debate. Prosecutors asked if you know right from wrong, and as a man of God, you say you didn't shoot Jonathan, but you did, why didn't you call the police? Charlie's lawyers tried to object, but it was too late. Also, prosecutors came in with the jail call conversation, stating if you didn't do it, why be mad your friend told police? With all this evidence, Charlie was eventually found guilty of murder and sentenced to life, all suspended but 45 years in prison. Rest in peace to Jonathan. I send my deepest prayers and condolences to his family. This seems like a situation of young men trying to find a way that went wrong. Jonathan had a home, but was outside with his mans, trying to ride with him, right or wrong, which is respectable, but comes with consequences. As for Charlie, it seems like he came from a good family. Shorty was in college, and within a few months, threw it all away by listening to somebody he was hustling for, trying to get the other two off the block. The type time the two groups was allegedly on was a dangerous combination and the recipe for disaster. But hey, that's the Baltimore way. Man, crazy story. Rest in peace to Jonathan. You know, I ain't gonna talk y'all head off with this one. Y'all heard the story. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments. Remember to definitely be respectful. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. This your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.